Hey, today we're on a trip episode to Lucas, Kansas. I'm here with Jeannie from the Grassroots Art Center, and she's going to tell us a little bit about this organization, and then we're going to do a few touring spots within the facility. So, can you tell me a little bit about the Grassroots Art Center?
Sure. We are a museum that documents, displays, and preserves the work of grassroots artists. And in our mind, those are people that are not trained artists. They've never studied art. Nobody's ever taught them how to do what they do.
Okay.
They just do it because they feel compelled to. They often start late in life, and they don't care if anybody likes it or if it sells. They just do it. And Lucas is the grassroots arts capital of Kansas.
Okay.
We were designated that. And because there are 4 yard environments that were created here. Most people know about the Garden of Eden. It's world famous.
Right.
That S.P. Dinsmore created, but we have 3 others, including this work here.
Who is this person?
This is the concrete structures that were created by Ed Root. You can see his name there in concrete. And he lived on a farm south of Lucas. He was a Czechoslovakian immigrant, and he and his wife Lydia had 10 children. He was injured in a farm accident late in life, and he spent his elderly years filling his farmyard with these concrete structures embedded with pieces of glass and rocks. He died in 1960, and this farm that he lived on is now actually underneath Lake Wilson. It was flooded when the dam was built, but luckily his children and the folks from the Kansas Grassroots Arts Association saved the structures.
Okay, so concrete, I see glass, I see pieces of ceramics,
Petrified wood, just pieces of doodads, rocks, pieces of jars.
All right.
We have more in the next room.
All right, so this is one of your permanent collections right
Yes.
now? Okay.
Yep, they're on permanent loan from family members and the Kansas Grassroots Arts Association.
Okay, there are 2 locations inside the museum. This is one of the coolest things that I was first shown. So can you tell me about this awesome artist here?
These are the creations of a man named Herman Divers, and he lived in Topeka, Kansas. He was a factory worker, but in his spare time he had people saving these pull tabs for him, and 800,000 pull tabs later he had these creations that he made just from pull tabs. There's no frames or wires in these. The car, the motorcycle, clothing, there's a hat, shoes, lamps, furniture. He died in 2013, and these pieces are on permanent loan from his family. But it's an amazing accomplishment. This is a pull tab. Young people don't know what they are.
I was gonna say, I think I remember this from when I was a kid. This was something that was on either a beer can or a Coke can before they had that click thing.
Yes, and he had people
That's
give them
so
to
cool.
him, but then he ran out because they quit making them. And he switched to things made out of buttons, and we have pictures of his more recent pieces. But people come from far and wide to see this pull tab car and motorcycle because it is quite unique.
Okay, so do you know how many pull tabs are actually in this one piece?
Not this one, but we have a list of each piece, and altogether it's about 800,000 pull tabs.
800,000.
He did keep track, but I can't tell you exactly how
Wow.
many in this piece. This would be by far the most.
It's actually got some great detail. It's just not a frame. It's the whole. There's lights. There's the bumpers. And if you can look at it, it looks like all the pull tabs are actually intertwined by being pulled back. You know, a famous piece of his, or for the job.
Probably, or the motorcycle. You know, a lot of bikers come in and say, well, they want to see the motorcycle. But recently we had a guy who had been carrying a magazine article since 2009 that he saw in a magazine article about this car, and he told his wife, someday we're going to go see that car. And they came in this summer, and he got the magazine article out and he said, do you have this here? And I said, we do, it's in the next room. And it was like on his bucket list someday to come and see this car.
Okay. We're at the next section of the museum. This is Inez Marshall's section. And could you actually tell us why she is so special to the center?
Well, Inez is actually the reason our museum got started. She was a stone sculptress up in Osborne County. But before that, she was an auto mechanic and a truck driver, which back in the 1920s when she was a young adult, that was not something women
Right.
did. Then she was injured in an accident. Her truck rolled over and she broke her back, and she took a rock one day and she carved it into a squirrel, and she thought that was so amazing that she then spent the rest of her life carving limestone.
That is great.
She eventually got enough of it that she put it into this little museum that she called the Continental Sculpture Hall. It was in Portis, Kansas, a tiny little town in Osborne County. And she would give tours, her and her friend Beulah. Well, she carved all those years, and then she died in 1984. And there was an auction. They auctioned off her whole museum, and a collector from Florida bought it. And then it went through a couple more owners until eventually the Lucas Arts and Humanities Council formed here in Lucas with the sole purpose of buying her collection and bringing it to Lucas. Like she was self-taught, never took any art training, so she just, here's her tools. At the time she died, she was working on a life-size Harley Davidson motorcycle. She got one wheel and a little battery done.
Over here, this car. Can you tell me a little bit about this car?
Well, like I said, she was an auto mechanic and a truck driver. She understood mechanics, and so she built this with lights. The lights would turn on, the doors open, and it's quite an amazing piece. But the thing about Inez was she didn't like the stone just plain. She would then paint it with enamel paint. Most sculptors do not paint their stone, but that's what Inez did. All these plates and wall hangings are carved stone, and then she would paint them, and she talked about being divinely inspired. Well, this is the Kennedy table, is what she called it. It's her tribute to JFK, who was assassinated in 1963. And during the tour, she would set you down on these benches and play a cassette tape of her voice. Okay. And it would tell you all about the inspiration, the symbolism, the steps, the vine, the dove. All of it has meaning.
Everybody needs to come out and see this collection. It's awesome. There are things from buildings to people. That Lincoln? That's Lincoln over there.
Here's the Last Supper inside this building here.
So, everybody come out and visit the area of how would they get here from 70?
Just turn at exit 206, the Wilson Lucas exit. Come north 18 miles and you'll be in Lucas.
Okay, big hint, you have to go over a dam next to Wilson Lake to get here.
And that is the Post Rock Scenic Byway, so you won't be disappointed.
Okay, and what are your hours?
Well, we're on our winter hours now, 1 to 4, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But in the summertime, starting in May, we open every day from 10 to 5.
Cool. Make sure you come out here.